On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Support his argument. But as far as like the personal singling people out, I think that that's a completely different conversation.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I agree.
that's the whole thing. I would just say this. That's the whole thing I wanted to bring to light. That, you know what I'm saying. His argument was strong. You know what I'm saying. But when it get pushed around, well, I'm gonna say this though. So what do you say to the dark skinned chick that says she don't like fat guys?
Sorry, I don't like.
We're not going there.
No.
It's preferences. Like, people have their preferences.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Listen what I'm saying. It's easy. You see, you can't do that. You got to be balanced across the board. Like I can look at things across the board, right? And I can just look at everything and say, you know what? You got to respect that people have preference. You know what I'm saying? And regardless of how it makes you feel, it would never change that.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with him saying what he want to say because I don't want to live in
I work in
the
law enforcement and criminal justice.
But I'm saying, but my whole point is when you take it and you put it on a person, your argument lose strength. That's it.
Well, I don't have a problem with his argument. I think he should be.
I'm not talking about.
I'm not talking about what you saying, Logic, at all. I'm just adding additional context to what I'm saying. Is that he can say what he want to say, but you got to be careful of towing a line when you apply it. You know what I'm saying? Like we all say stuff in the heat of conversation. You know what I'm saying? That impact different people on a platform, and you might go off or you might insult somebody, but then at the same time, we human, and you gotta be open to the possibility that you're wrong and correcting it too. You know what I'm saying? Like we you can't hit below the belt sometimes. Sometimes it's too below the belt, bro.
So can I jump in real quick?
Hold on real quick.
Okay.
I want to stay with Chaotic for a second. Chaotic, do you understand what they're saying?
100% I do.
Okay, can you explain to me what they're saying?
This is what's going on here. Yes.
Briefly.
Yes. I should not have singled out Caleb for my example. I understand that, and I do apologize. What I was trying to convey, which I keep getting cut off, is that we have to look at so many things in terms of with femininity in the Black culture. And what I have observed is that the darker women tend to be the more aggressive out of the Black culture. I don't know why that is so offensive to talk about.
But you can that's not offensive to talk about. Yeah. But you can't say the darker one down there. Yeah. You can't say that, bro.
Okay, and I apologize, Anton. I apologize.
And I do hold on real quick. And I do want to point this out that it has happened not just with him. Sometimes we do things we don't realize. It doesn't excuse it. But I'm starting to understand the point. I mean, I'm okay with people explaining their experience or giving them perspectives based off their experiences, but I do understand when it becomes personal, or it's like a personal attack. So we don't have any problem with you stating your experience. It might just be your experience, might not be everybody's experience, but as long as you give support as to why it's happening, then we can have a conversation. So people may be like, why is this allowed to happen? I don't have a problem with him stating that comment, but I do think it's a personal attack. And again, we all in some form or fashion have done it. So let's just be mindful of, when it comes to the personal attacks, but let's just have a conversation. I mean, it's his perspective, right? You guys have perspectives all the time that we don't agree on. So that's not attack his perspective, but
I think that we should, because he said that he doesn't know the whys. So when we just blatantly say some things, and I was offended by that as far as pointing out the darker skinned woman, but not maybe understanding the whys. And I think these are the reasons why we need to have these conversations. So I definitely believe that there is light skin privilege, and it's not just in the Black community. It's all people that have melanin, where the lighter skinned woman is held to a higher standard than the darker skinned women. If you look at the divestor community and the women that has shunned Black men completely, there usually have been darker skinned women that I have noticed, that I have talked to. And the reason being is that these women don't feel wanted. Mm-hmm. These women
but the problem, oh, my bad. I thought you was done. Go ahead. Do your thing.
So a lot, and I've spoken to these women as far as with a lot of divestors, and sometimes they're heavier set and they're darker skinned. And because I'm not as dark as them, they say, well, you will be picked more than I would be because of your skin tone. So there is, and I'm not trying to speak for women that are darker skinned than me, but that element that darker skinned women feel, I think it's relevant, and I think that's a real feeling. And I think that is the reason why. When
It's
you
not
single
just
out
women. It's not just women.
I'm just speaking about women because he specifically pointed out to the darker skinned women. And so when we do that, how does that make Kayla feel? And I'm sure she's probably heard that. Darker skinned women have heard that since there was a little girl. You're pretty for a dark skinned girl. A lot of times, I've heard a whole lot of men say, yeah, I'd rather be with a light skinned girl. She can look like the bottom of my foot. But because she's light skinned with curly hair and long hair, she's usually preferred. And I've heard that in my life. I've heard a man tell me that too. I wouldn't like you if you were darker.
But see, we can't tone police the conversation. Like that's another conversation that we can segment through. Oh, my bad. I thought you was done.
Well, I'll finish up because I'm definitely not trying to tone that or tone police.
I'm just saying that I don't think that we should put a limit on what he can say as far as, because people are allowed to have preferences. The only thing that I'm saying is that I don't want him to personally say something that may or may not be derogatory for somebody else. He can say whatever he want to say, in my personal opinion, about whether light skin is better than dark skin. He can have that. He can say that. He can say Japanese women is better than black women. I don't care. That's not how I feel, but he can say that all day long. And then you got to fight. He just got to support his argument. But as far as like the personal singling people out, I think that's a completely different conversation.
Yeah. And I agree.
That's the whole thing. I would just say this. That's the whole thing I wanted to bring to light. That, you know what I'm saying? His argument was strong. You know what I'm saying? But when it get pushed around, well, I'm gonna say this though. So what do you say to the dark skinned chick that says she don't like fat guys?
Sorry, I don't like.
We're not going there.
No.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Listen what I'm saying. It's easy. You can't do that. You got to be balanced across the board. Like I can look at things across the board, right? And I can just look at everything and say, you know what? You got to respect that people have preference. You know what I'm saying? And regardless of how it makes you feel, it would never change that.